Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to go way beyond that famous postcard image of the Taj Mahal. We're going to uncover the stories, the science, and yeah, even the secrets held within its incredible marble walls.
I think we have to start with this beautiful line from the poet Rabindranath Tagore. It just so perfectly captures the feeling behind one of the world's most recognizable monuments, a building that was really born from a story of deep, deep love and sorrow.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to take this journey in 5 parts. First, we'll dive into the love story. Then, we'll look at the incredible engineering that made it all possible. After that, we'll decode the symbolism that's hidden in plain sight, sort out the facts from the fiction, and finally, we'll see where the Taj Mahal fits into our world today.
All right, let's jump right into our first section. You have to remember, before it was a world wonder, the Taj Mahal was a promise. This isn't just a story about some emperor building a monument. It's the story of a husband and the wife he adored. This timeline really grounds us in the key moments of their life together. Now, Shah Jahan was the ruler of this massive, powerful empire, but his whole world really revolved around one person, Mumtaz Mahal. And she wasn't just his wife, she was his #1 confidant, his most trusted advisor. The imperial records from the time describe this bond that was so intense that when she died tragically giving birth to their 14th child, the emperor's grief was just bottomless.
And sure, he had other wives, but the court records make it really clear that his relationship with Mumtaz was a true partnership. I mean, his grief wasn't just a romantic tale, it was a documented historical event, and it's what pushed him to pour all the resources of his empire into fulfilling her last wish, to build a tomb that would have no equal anywhere in the world.
Okay, so now let's get into how that incredibly emotional vision became a physical reality. Think about it, building a gigantic marble structure on the shaky, unstable bank of a river. That was a massive challenge, and it took some truly revolutionary 17th century engineering to pull it off.
This was just a brilliant solution. You see, most great monuments at the time were built on solid rock, but the Mughal engineers did the exact opposite. Instead of trying to find solid ground, they literally created it. They sank hundreds of deep wells and packed them solid to form this huge, interconnected foundation. But here's the real genius. The wells were lined with dense, water-resistant wood. As long as that wood stays wet from the river, it won't rot, which gives the whole structure a stable yet flexible base that is held up for centuries. It's incredible.
And the sheer scale of this project is just staggering. The main tomb is flanked by these 4 towering minarets, and each one stands over 130 feet tall. And while they look perfectly straight to the naked eye, they're actually hiding a secret that tells you everything you need to know about the genius of the architects.
And get this is such a clever bit of foresight. That subtle, almost invisible outward tilt is basically a form of architectural insurance. It means that if there was ever a catastrophic earthquake, the minarets are designed to fall away from Mumtaz Mahal's tomb, protecting the absolute heart of the monument. Just brilliant.
Now, all that exquisite, delicate detail you see covering the Taj, it comes from this incredibly painstaking technique called pietra dura. You can think of it as basically painting with stone. First, artisans would carve these incredibly intricate designs into the marble. Then, with almost surgical precision, they'd cut semi-precious stones, we're talking lapis lazuli, jade, carnelian, to fit perfectly into those grooves. Just imagine inlaying these tiny, fragile pieces across such a huge surface, where one tiny mistake could ruin an entire slab of priceless marble.
Okay, so now let's talk about how all these pieces, the engineering, the artistry, all come together. Because the Taj Mahal is so much more than a tomb. It's a physical manifestation of a spiritual idea, a whole story written in stone, marble, and water.
So that beautiful garden you walk through as you approach the tomb, it's not just for looks. It's what's known as a sharbagh, and it's symbolic. It represents the 4 gardens of paradise from the Quran, and the water channels are meant to be the rivers of water, milk, wine, and honey. The whole thing is designed to make you feel like you're in heaven on earth.
And that's the key here. Every single part of your journey as a visitor is symbolic. You pass through the main gate, leaving the chaotic worldly realm behind you. You walk through the gardens of paradise as you move toward the mausoleum, which itself represents a divine throne. And the calligraphy you see everywhere? It isn't just decoration. Those are actual passages from the Quran that prepare the soul for Judgment Day and promise paradise. And this shows you how even invisible things like sound were part of the design.
The inside of that huge dome was engineered to create this incredibly long, resonant echo. That was not an accident. It was designed specifically to enhance the spiritual experience, so the sound of prayers would literally hang in the air, filling the entire chamber long after the recitation was over.
All right, so a monument this famous is of course going to attract its share of myths and legends. Over the centuries, some stories have been told that are almost as grand as the building itself. So let's take a minute to separate the compelling fiction from the historical record.
You have to admit, the idea of a mirror image black Taj is incredibly romantic, right? It's the perfect yin to the yang of the White Mausoleum. But the only source we have for this entire story is the account of one single French traveler. Despite tons of searching, archaeologists have never found any foundations, and more importantly, the Mughal court documents never mention a project this huge. This question has become a real focal point for modern controversy. It has fueled all sorts of theories that have even led to court cases, with people demanding that those doors be opened to finally reveal what's inside.
The people who support this theory claim that these rooms hold evidence that this was a pre-existing temple. But the official explanation from the Archaeological Survey of India is, well, a lot more practical. They say these are simply structural chambers, part of the foundation. They were sealed off to the public after a big flood in 1978 to protect the monument's stability, and they're open from time to time for maintenance. In fact, in 2022, a high court dismissed a petition to force them open, saying the debate should be left to historians. Okay, so for our final section, let's bring the story all the way in to the 21st century. Because the Taj Mahal isn't some static relic that's frozen in time. It's a living, breathing monument, and it's facing a whole list of very modern threats. And each one of these is a serious challenge. The air pollution from nearby industry has been slowly turning that brilliant white marble yellow. The dropping water level of the Yamuna River is a huge concern because, remember those wooden foundations? They have to stay submerged in water, or they'll rot and collapse. And of course, the constant footsteps of millions of visitors every single year. That inevitably takes a toll on a structure this old. So, to fight that yellowing from pollution, conservators use this really fascinating traditional technique. It's basically a giant mud pack for the monument. This special clay, it's called multini mitti, is spread on in a thick layer. As it dries, it gently pulls the pollutants right out of the marble's pores. Then they wash it all off with distilled water, and it's a totally non-abrasive way to get that brilliant white shine back. And this is such a crucial point to remember. The legacy of the Taj Mahal isn't just architectural. It's deeply human. It supports an entire local economy. You have tour guides and photographers who make their living in its shadow, and you have artisans who are still practicing the very same stone inlay techniques as their ancestors. This monument is truly the heart of the whole community of Agra. And that's where we'll end. The Taj Mahal was built to be immortal, a timeless monument to love, but its survival isn't a guarantee. It needs constant care, it needs innovation, and it needs a collective, global commitment to preserving it. And that leaves us with the final and most important question. What do we, as its guardians today, have to do to make sure this teardrop on the cheek of time never, ever fades away?